And welcome to Sasquatch Says. Unfortunately, I am again without my co-host. I'm pretty sure she's working. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten a response from her. She's also dealing with, having fun with her dad, who just got out of the hospital, just got a new heart. So all the power to her. I really hope she's having a great time, and hopefully she'll be back with us next week. Since we're on that, I do want to apologize to all of you. I know I have been very inconsistent over the last couple of weeks with getting you content, and I haven't really been open as to why, and it's because I really didn't have anything solid to bring you. But after today, after the wife spoke with some doctors, I can go ahead and tell y'all it's not looking good for Mauritian, my mother-in-law. Her daughters, please pray for them. Mauritian, Nika, my wife Natrell, they're all going through it. They're having a hard time. She is on a ventilator with a trach and a peg tube. So she is, being helped along with those machines. Hopefully she hangs out long enough for me to get the wife down there. But if y'all could please put your prayers up for them and try and give some kind of consolation to them as much as possible in this trying times. All my prayers, all my love to all three of them and Mauritian. I do hope she is able to go as peacefully as possible and is able to enjoy these last few moments with her kids and that as much as possible. All my love and caring goes out to all of you. I am sorry that you're going through this. I can only imagine. I do not look forward to it with my own. It breaks my heart to watch y'all in pain, and I am sorry. I wish there was more that I could do for you, but really all I can do is say I'm sorry. I'm here for you. Any of you, all three of you, not just my wife, any of you, if I can do anything for any of you, please do not hesitate to reach out. I truly appreciate everything y'all have done for me. And there we are. I'm so glad that she is able to listen. That's too awesome. Well, Mauritian, if you can hear me, we love you, and we're sorry we can't be there right now, but we will be there as soon as possible. Just hang in there, and I will get your baby to you as soon as possible. But with that out of the way, I don't want to put it like that. I really want to make sure y'all understand this is coming from a place of love and caring. And all of the TAE 42 fam is here for you all as well. So we love you. We appreciate y'all. Keep pushing, keep fighting, and we're here to help you as much as possible. But to the nature at hand, to talk about the Avalanche is what we are here for today. First up, we are going to talk about some transactions that have happened. There are some things that have happened here in the offseason. There are still free agents. People are still being signed. So the Avalanche are still active and looking at any way that they can improve this roster. And they made I'd say a medium big move, maybe Biggie Smalls move. But they re-signed Shane Bowers, who was a big piece in the Matt Duchene trade with the Predators a few years ago. He is a former first-round pick. He was picked 28th overall by the Predators about 4 years ago. Let me double check that number so I can be exactly with y'all. Okay, yes, he was drafted in the 2018-2019 draft is when he was drafted. So it's been 3 years, going on 4. He was supposed to be that centerpiece. He was supposed to be the guy that the Avalanche made the trade for. He was a star at Boston University, which is a powerhouse in college hockey. They are essentially like the Alabama. Their division is like the SEC of hockey. So he came from a legitimate program, just like a lot of guys that come out of Alabama, but not everybody that comes out of Alabama is a superstar. Just like not everybody that comes out of Boston University is a superstar. He's got all the talent in the world. I think his biggest problem is just simply he can't stay on the ice. He's only played one full season. That was the 1920 season with the Colorado Eagles. And that's also his most productive season. It's the season he had, the only season he had more than 9 points in his 3 seasons in the pros so far. He had 27 points in 48 games played. And it's also the only season he has a positive plus minus. So, and that's at a 2. So he hasn't really blown the doors off even when he's been on the ice. The other 2 seasons, 2021 and 21-22, he ended with the same amount of points, 9 points. In 2021, he had 7 assists, 2 goals. 21-22, he had 6 assists, 3 goals. But in the last season, 21-22, was also his worst in plus minus. He had a -8. That's really bad, guys. That means that the opponent scored 8 more points than his team scored when he was on the ice. That's what the plus minus means. So it's not been great, but again, it's all about being on the ice. We've said this across all sports, all podcasts. The greatest ability is availability. It does not matter how ridiculously talented you are. If you can't stay on the ice, you cannot be productive, and therefore you cannot be a superstar or even a average player if you can't do that minimum right there. So, hey, baby, I'm glad you came in. I appreciate you. So, Shane Bowers, I think, could be a very under the radar move. This could be another one of those Sakic with his Midas touch, where he just grabs a guy that just can't stay healthy, can't stay on the ice for whatever reason it is. Like with Kadri, with suspensions and injuries. Bowers, it's injuries and a little bit of when it comes to bad play. He does take some bad penalties at some bad times, so he needs to shore that up. But he did sign a 2-way contract. He gets a cool $1 million if he is in the NHL on the pro roster, on the Avalanche roster, and it goes down to a $750,000 deal if he is on the Colorado Eagles roster. So I just want to make sure. Okay, so I do have an update. Sorry, I went quiet because I saw I got a message from Callie. She is, like I said, it was one of the two. It was either work or dad. And it turns out it was dad. So completely understand. Take care of your pops. He had his first post-transplant doctor's appointment. She didn't tell me how it went, but I'm going to assume it went well if she's on her way back. So maybe she'll join us. I don't know. I'm not going to say that she will. I'm not going to put that pressure on her. She doesn't have to join us. But if she gets home, she decides to join us. You're watching us right now, Callie. We appreciate you. If you want to come, you're welcome. But hey, take care of your pops first. We just got done talking about family and importance, so we completely get it. Please take care of your pops if you need to, but we are happy to have you if you got some time once you get home. But moving on back to the Avalanche here. There's also a question of whether or not this is his last chance. I will say this is Shane, talking about Shane Bowers. I should probably clarify that. Going back to Shane Bowers, is this his last chance? With the Avalanche, definitely. This is going to be his one great last hurrah to break this roster. And of course, it's probably the worst roster for him to try to break, especially at the center position with how deep that is on this Avalanche roster. So more the power to him. I really hope the kid takes this next step. I think he could actually be that Kadri replacement if he reaches his potential. If he reaches his potential, the life after Kadri will not be nearly as painful. But that is a big if. That is a big if, because he has not proven that he can stay healthy enough to even try to reach that level of success, let alone reached it or really even shown, like I said, outside of that one season where he had 27 points in 48 games, which is still not that impressive from that position. If he was a defenseman, perfectly beautiful numbers, but as a center, not nearly enough production. He's got to step it up, especially if he wants to crack this roster this season after they just won a championship. So it's all on Shane Bowers. He has all the talent in the world to do it. Now it's just a matter of him getting on the ice and proving it. And I just truly, truly hope for the kid's sake he does. I'd love to see him in an Avalanche uniform, show that that there was a reason why Sakic wanted him in that Duchesne trade. And so here's crossing my fingers and hoping that the kid does have a great year. And I think he will. I think he'll take that step as long as he stays healthy. So we'll just cross our fingers, hope no bad injury luck continues to hurt the poor kid. He gets on the ice. He's able to play. He's able to show his abilities and then get that long-term deal I'm sure he's looking for to go ahead and stay here in Colorado. So moving on from a new face. Thank you. Thank you, Nika. I will make sure that gets passed along. But yes, moving on from a new face coming, or I'm sorry, I should say an old face staying to an old face leaving. That is Jack Johnson, the longtime Colorado Avalanche that just finally got his championship ring this past summer, is going to be moving on to the hated Blackhawks. This is a team that is a definite rival of the Avalanche. So while his departure doesn't necessarily surprise me, especially with Kadri still out there in the wind, the fact he went to the Blackhawks is a little bit of a surprise. But I mean, hey, millions change and heal all wounds. I know a lot of people like to use winning, but when in this case, the Blackhawks don't win. They haven't for a while. So even though they are technically a rival with the Avalanche, to me, a rivalry requires two teams that can beat each other. And right now, it's just the Avalanche molly-whopping the Blackhawks, with the Blackhawks getting a little shiv in here and there once, maybe twice a year. So even though, again, they are a rival, it makes a little bit more sense for him to go there than, say, like the St. Louis Blues or Nashville Predators. That might have been a little bit more of a surprise, but the fact that he did end up on the Blackhawks, the Avalanche wanted him back. There's reports from everywhere that they were doing their best to make sure that JJ came back to Denver, but they just could not make him fit, with still wanting to try and keep an option open for Kadri, even though at this point, I think we all are in agreement. Kadri is going to New York. Kadri is going to play for the Islanders. It's just a matter of them working out the kinks on that contract. And if they are willing to give him $9 million a year, more power to him. I said this last time we talked. If Kadri wants $9 million a year, it's not coming from Colorado. It's just not. They don't have the room. I'm not saying he's not worth it, but again, it's his last contract. And I dare anybody to name a player that maximized their value. Not just got a big contract, but maximized their value on their last contract. It just doesn't happen unless a team is absolutely desperate. And if they are, and it does happen, it looks terrible. It looks terrible at the end of that contract. It always does. And it ends up destroying a team with the salary cap, because then you got this guy that can't produce at $9 million a year. He's producing more at $1.5 to $2 million a year, but you still have to pay him that $9 million a year because the contract's guaranteed. So just like with Kadri, with Jack Johnson, he got more than he was going to get from Denver. Let me pull up the exact numbers. I had them in my head and I forgot them. I'm sorry. All right. It's a 1 year, $950,000 deal. So that hurts a little bit, because I do believe the Avalanche could have fit. I mean, they just signed a guy for $1 million or for $750,000. So if they can't afford an extra $200,000 to keep Jack, it's a little concerning, but maybe that shows that they are more in on Kadri than we thought. Maybe they are willing to create a little bit more wiggle room to get closer to that $9 million. Because again, I don't see Sakic giving Kadri $9 million. The Avalanche are not that desperate. The Islanders are that desperate. The Islanders can go and take a 31-year-old center that's been absolutely targeted in every essence of the word by almost every team he's played, and hope he stays healthy and hope that he has another career year like he just did this past season for an absolutely stacked Avalanche team where he didn't have to be the number one guy. Well, he's getting $9 million from the Islanders. He's the number one guy now. And I don't think he matches that production. That's why I don't think that he's worth $9 million to the Avalanche. At most, I would probably give him somewhere in the 6.5 to 7 million range. That would be the top of the top. And that would be if I was absolutely desperate and needed Kadri, and the Avalanche don't. So I'm probably lowballing him somewhere in the 4 to 5 million range, because I know even at that price, it's probably going to look bad on the back end. But half of the amount of 9 million on that back end is a lot easier to swallow and cover up for than that full $9 million salary, especially, again, as we have said multiple times, Makar needs a new contract, McKinnon needs a new contract, and the list, Bowen Byram's going to need a new contract. Alex Newhouse is going to need a new contract. If Shane Bowers pops off, he's going to need a new contract, and they're all much, much younger than Kadri and all have a much higher ceiling than Kadri because of that age difference. So it just makes fiscal sense to let Kadri walk, let him maximize. I ain't got no animosity. I got no hate towards Kadri. We love you, guy. Everybody here in Avalanche territory are going to continue to love you, but we cannot pay you that much money, my guy. I'm sorry, but it's just not coming from Denver. You're going to have to take a pay cut. So will he? No, not at this point. Not if the Islanders are willing to give him more. Why would you take a pay cut? He's got his ring. It's not like he's chasing that ring anymore. He's got it. He's got his Stanley Cup. If he never wins another one in the rest of his career, he can be happy with knowing he won one. That's what every player wants. Everything over one is nothing but icing on the cake. If you get angry because you don't have more than one, you're either A, Tom Brady, or B, an insufferable a-hole, and nobody wants to be around you anyways. And we got some questions. Let's see. The Avs team are going to repeat Stanley Cup champs. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, emphasis, all the drama, everything was necessary. Yes, I do. No other rival has done enough to catch up to the Avalanche. The only team that I had any worry of beating the Avalanche last year in the playoffs was the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they manhandled the back-to-back champions. And the only player that might not be back from this championship team is Kadri. That's the only player that they have not secured that actually means something. Yes, I just talked about Jack Johnson leaving, but he's more nostalgia and just a big enforcer. You can find big meaty enforcers, and the Avalanche already have a couple guys that were healthy scratches. Like, if you go back to the tweeters with me and Callie over during the playoffs, we talked about how angry we were that we didn't get to see more of McDermott and guys like that were brought in to be enforcers because Jack Johnson was getting so much ice time. Well, now he's gone, and we have perfect fillers for that. Replacing Kadri is a whole lot harder than replacing Johnson, but I think that the Avalanche have enough talent to do both. And so, yes, I think they are legitimate Stanley Cup contenders, and I think they have a legitimate chance of repeating without question. And that's not just a homer. That's not maroon tinted glasses. That's just looking at the rosters and what was done in the offseason. The Avalanche kept everybody they needed to, added a few extra pieces, and kept the status quo as overall. All the rest of the teams, the Lightning lost major players. The Flames lost major players. The Oilers lost a couple of major players. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are essentially throwing in the flag and going into a full rebuild. Same thing with the Arizona Coyotes, et cetera, et cetera. So the only team that has either stayed as good or got better, and they did both, was the Avalanche. Every other team in the league overall got worse. when you take the totality of their moves, every other team in the league got at least a little bit worse. So, with that being the case and the Avalanche standing pat, there's just no way you can say that they do not have at least a chance. And I do honestly believe they can repeat and have two teams go back to back right after each other. I think that the salary cap was supposed to create parity, but when you have GMs like Joe Sakic, it can create a dynasty. And I do believe that that is where the Avalanche is headed. So, yes, 4.5 to 5 million is definitely still a lot of money. Now, obviously, we're talking about rich folk, and they have a different perspective of what's a lot of money and what's not than we do. But when you really do break it down, definitely 4.5 to 5 million, still plenty of money. But also, Kadri, he's kind of been slighted most of his career. He's kind of been really looked down on, whether it be the racial factor because he's Muslim, whether it be because he's a smaller guy, so they have that prejudice against him. So I understand why he would want to maximize his deal. He's always kind of been there's always been that what if. Okay, you got suspended every playoffs. What if you would have stayed? Maybe you got more money. All those suspensions, all those injuries, all those things came to compile to make him take lesser deals all the way throughout his career. And he just capitalized with the best year of his entire career and won a Stanley Cup. And after breaking his hand, had like that Hollywood moment, breaks his hand in the championship round, then comes back weeks before he's supposed to with a cast on his hand. And in his first game back, wins the game in overtime. Like, he had the perfect Hollywood ending in a contract year. So he deserves to get whatever amount he's getting on the free agent market. I'm just saying he just can't get that from the Colorado Avalanche because they just don't have it. Yes. As I was just saying, the only player that has not been re-signed already by Joe Sakic is Nazem Kadri. That is the only star player from the Avalanche's championship team that has not been re-signed or is already under contract. Now, do they have to give some new contracts to young guys like Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, etc.? Yes, they do, but they don't have to do it right now. They still have until this coming off season with MacKinnon, and they still have 2 to 3 years of control of all the rest of their young stars. So, yes, every returning star except Kadri is already under contract for the Avalanche. They only have one big fish left out there, and he's more than likely going to the Islanders because he's just, like I said, over 30 and wants $9 million a year. They already have to give at least $11 million a year to MacKinnon. That's the floor. That's the minimum amount that they are going to have to give Nathan MacKinnon because he is the best player in hockey, without question. After last year, nobody gets to question whether or not the Mac attack is the best in the entire NHL. It's just there is no debate anymore. He shut down everybody in the playoffs with the way that he played. So, yes, they are going to keep all of their talented stars. The best thing about this Avs team, there's so much. There's so much to love. They play great defense. Their offense is just, it's art to watch. It is art on ice. It's just unbelievable to watch the amount of size and speed and strength that this team has from line 1 through 4. It's just insane. It should be illegal. It's just not fair. So it's like trying to asking me which one of my kids is my favorite. That's, it's so hard. I would have to, I'm an old school hockey guy, so I love the physicality of this team, the no quit attitude that they showed in this past playoffs was the one thing I have been screaming about for years, is that this team lacked a killer instinct. They just couldn't close out the important games. And then whatever it was, whether it was McKinnon calling the team out during the regular season, calling himself out during the playoffs, whether it was Landeskog calling the team out, something changed. A switch flipped with this team in this previous playoffs, and it was beautiful to watch. It was so fun to watch this team that no matter what situation they were in, no matter how far they were down, no matter how many goals they were behind, you just always believed that they were still in it, that they were going to make the plays to get back in it. They were going to score the goals, and they did it time and time again. So just the perseverance and the physicality of this team is my favorite part. I love the heart of the Avs, how they all came together and stuck together to become champs. That is exactly correct. Yes, babe. Yes, 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 yes. That is exactly what happened this past season. It was they decided as a group to accept the fact that they are the best team in the NHL. They've been the best team in the NHL from 1 to 50 on the roster for the last, I'd say, at least 3 years. But because they didn't believe it, they would always run into that team, that whether it's the Dallas Stars or the St. Louis Blues or the Tampa Bay Lightning, they'd always run into that big boy team that has been dominating, and they would just cower. They would get punched in the mouth, and they'd curl up in the fetal position and cry for their mama in the corner. Not this past season. They decided as a group, we are not weak, we are strong, we are the best, and we are going to prove it night in and night out. And they did, both regular season and the playoffs. And so, yes, that is exactly what happened. And that is exactly why they won the championship. So you are 100% correct there. All right. So moving on from signings, let's go ahead and move over to a fun little question I saw posed. And I would love to hear all of Avalanche Territory let me know who they believe should be the first Avalanche statue outside of Ball Arena. I like this because it's crazy to think that with 3 championships, they don't have a single statue outside of that arena. So, me personally, I'm gonna make it quick and easy. Joe Sakic, not just because of what he did on the ice, but when you mix that with what he's done in the front office as the general manager, he's now won all three championships with the Avalanche have come with either Sakic leading the team on the ice or in the front office. That just doesn't happen very often. You just don't see that. I mean, yet here in Denver, we saw it in 2 different organizations. We watched Elway do it with the Broncos, and now we've watched Sakic do it with the Avalanche. So that should tell you the level of intelligence that is a player in Denver. We've got to have some of the smartest players, if not the smartest players in the league, because we're the only ones that's got GMs that go from the team and not only win a championship while they're on the field or ice, but do it in the front office as well. So my pick is Joe Sakic. I know a lot of people are going to talk about Peter Forsberg. They're going to talk about Patrick Waugh, maybe even like an Adam Foote or something if you really want to go with an oddity. But to me, because of what he's done in both positions he's had on this team and just does nothing but win. Everything the man touches turns to gold. So King Midas Joe Sakic should be the first statue outside of Ball Arena. What do y'all think? That's my opinion. I want to know what you all think. So go down in the comments, go over to the Twitters, make sure you tweet. All of the socials are down inside of the description. You don't have to go search for us. You don't have to go to Twitter and Instagram or whatever. Just go down to the description, click on the link, takes you straight to our homepage. Click the like, the subscribe, the bell icon, so that way you're notified every time that we go live like this. And we love it. We appreciate it because that is how we keep giving you content. So again, hit all of the red buttons, launch all the nukes, clear the way so that way we can bring you the news the way you deserve. So moving on from fantastical questions onto a more broader one. So I'm going from just picking one person. I'm going to move over to the Avalanche Mount Rushmore. Who belongs on the Colorado Avalanche Mount Rushmore? So again, I don't want to just be talking to myself or just talking at you. Let me know who your Avalanche Mount Rushmore is. Go to the Twitters, all those. Let us know. For me, in no particular order, Patrick Waugh, Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, Nathan MacKinnon, and Gabriel Landeskog. I think it's a pretty solid list. You got all the top scorers, the best goalie to ever live, not just Avalanche goalie, the best goalie to ever live. I will argue with that and die on that hill until the day I die. I don't care. You cannot convince me that anybody, I don't care. Hasek, doesn't matter. Throw the name out you want to. I will beat you over the head with Patrick Waugh's stats, and I will do it in a time where ties were actually allowed. The man had the wins record for almost, it was like a half a decade after he left the game, when they where he retired before they instituted the shootout rule, where it stopped all the ties. So that man probably should have had a couple of extra 100 wins. Yes, I said it. Couple extra 100 wins, not just a couple extra wins, a couple extra 100 wins, if that shootout rule was in effect when he played hockey. Because just go back, go to YouTube. If you don't believe me, if you just don't want to believe the words that are coming out of my mouth, go to YouTube, look up Patrick Waugh, and watch his highlight reels. The man was insane. So you can't argue him. You can't argue Sakic after what I just told y'all, what he's done both on the ice and in the front office. Peter Forsberg, again, there's no argument you can have there. Nathan MacKinnon, best player in the game right now. Gabriel Landeskog, right behind him in the top 5 of the game right now. And they both play on the same team, just like it was before. As I've said before, the only thing missing from the triplets of the Avalanche before is a all-time goalie. But because of the depth of this Avalanche team, they don't need an all-time goalie. They just proved it with Kemper. They took an average at best goalie and won the championship, and won it handily without really much of any resistance whatsoever. They lost 4 games in 4 rounds in the playoffs. Let that sink in. They lost 4 games in 4 rounds in the playoffs. That's it. That is as dominant of a championship run as it gets. Because nobody just sweeps their way to a championship. But this team almost did. Because they had 2 sweeps in those 4 rounds. So all 4 of those losses came in just the last 2 rounds. So absolutely dominant, absolutely ridiculous. And so all 5 of those guys deserve to be there. And go ahead, argue with me if you like. Let me know yours, and I'll be happy to discuss. This is what we're here for, people. We love to discuss sports, so make us discuss them. Go to our comments, go to our replies. Make us discuss them with you. That's what we're here for. So it's not looking like Callie's going to be here because, again, she needs to have fun with her daddy. So we're going to let her have fun. This is our final subject of the afternoon for the Avalanche. But again, as you see down in the ticker there, I will be right back after this at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time with Dylan to talk Breaking Broncos. And we got a lot to talk about with the Broncos as we are coming up on game 2 of the preseason this weekend. So looking ahead to a MacKinnon contract, I wanted to bring this up because we had talked about Kadri earlier, and we discussed about why the Avalanche could not give Kadri $9 million a year, because they have to give MacKinnon a massive contract. And after the contracts that were signed by Draisaitl, making almost $13 million a year, the floor of a MacKinnon contract is again $11 million, and that's if he takes a hometown discount. So most likely you're looking at $13 to $14 million a year. That is what the average annual value is going to look like. 13 to 14 million a year. That's insane numbers for hockey. For baseball, for football, that's an average star's and average annual value. But in hockey, that is tippy top of the echelon, because this is again a organization in the NHL that makes a fraction of what baseball makes and an even smaller fraction of what the NFL makes. So you don't get to compare those contracts. So a lot of people I've seen trying to compare, like what Mike Trout or Giancarlo Stanton or Tom Brady or uh, Russell Wilson or whatever is getting in those sports to what the top of the NHL is getting. There's a difference in the in what they're getting, because there is a major difference in how much money is being raked in by their league. You can only pay a player what you have. Like, you might think that they're worth more. You might be a hockey head like Cali and think that they deserve the $20 million a year, and they might. I'm not saying that they don't, but this is a free market, and the market decides what you are worth. And in hockey, that's about that's the top tier money right there. And pushing it higher than that, you're going to handicap your team. So this is why I'm hoping that the love of the Avalanche, the fact that he's gotten that first championship, he will take a hometown discount. I do believe there is a possibility. McKinnon, he's never been that look at me diva. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Diva personality. So there is a definite chance that he could take a hometown discount. Now, I would not count on it. The kid has absolutely earned the right to be the highest paid player in the NHL. But it's going to be a decision on his part. Does he want to keep this team together by taking a little bit of a discount, a la Artturi Lehkonen, Gabe Landeskog last year, etc., that have done, let them trim the fat a little bit around their contract to ensure that they can keep some of these other guys, like the Val Nichushkins and that of the world. The reason the Avalanche were able to keep Valerie Nichushkin was the simple fact that Gabe Landeskog was willing to take a haircut on his deal last year. Him taking about $1 million less per year than what he could probably get on the free agent market was what allowed them to give the extra $1 million a year to Val Nichushkin to keep that ridiculous two-man game between him and Nathan McKinnon going. So, there's one more question. McKinnon should take a hometown discount with the way he plays. I don't think he should. Like, I don't ever want to jump in a man's pocket. That's not my thing. I've never been that type of guy. Get your money, get that bag, secure it however you need to, because you can call it heartless if you want, but teams are willing to cut you and throw you to the side the moment you don't produce for them. So why not maximize your value? I would like to see him take a hometown discount. I think it would be very beneficial for the team. A la, like I've been saying, Tom Brady in the NFL, where he's always been paid several $1 million a year less than what he could actually get on the free agent market, simply because he wanted to make sure he had as strong of a team around him as possible. I do believe that McKinnon is in that ilk. All right, again, I don't think he should take a hometown discount, but I do think he would if they do it right. And I have never seen in anything that Sakic doesn't do it right. I mean, you see, like I just explained with Gabriel Landeskog, he was able to get him to take a hometown discount, and he's much farther along in his career than McKinnon. He's already had a big contract. He's already had a long-term deal. So he just signed his second long-term deal, and Sakic was able to get him to take a little less so that way he could build around him. And so I do believe that Sakic, he's got a golden tongue. He's got a golden touch. So I do believe Sakic will get him to take a bit of a discount. But as far as saying he should, I don't ever want to say something like that. But I do believe that he would, if they came at him right, gave him enough years, and were respectful about it. I do believe that he would take it. Now, if they come at him like, hey, you sucked, you did this wrong, so you're going to take that never works. But if they come in like, hey, look, this is how we need to structure your deal to make sure that we're able to give Cale Makar his deal and Bowen Byram his deal. If they come at him like that, then I do believe he will take it, and he would be happy to take it because he looks up to Gabe Landeskog so much. I don't think he would feel comfortable making more than the captain of the team, even though he deserves it. So I think the Avs have that going for him too, is that he's looking over at Gabe, his idol, and like, well, he took a discount. How do I get to be a jerk? And Mr. Avalanche over here took a discount to make sure that I got my deal, and I got Val over here to play with me, and I got Arturi Lehkonen, and I got this guy, and I got that guy, and I got all because Mr. Avalanche, the captain, took a discount. How could he sit there and be like, I'm going to maximize my deal? So I think all of those things work in the Avalanche's favor. So I think they get him for a little bit less. But again, I don't see it being anything less than $11 million a year. I think that is the floor, which would put him about $2 million a year more than Gabriel Landeskog. But again, would be at the bottom rung of what he's worth, because he's really worth more in that 14, 15 million a year range and more. And so is Cale Makar. But I think both of those guys are going to have to come together, take a little bit of a haircut. That way they can keep each other together. And I do think that they enjoy playing with each other so much, and they enjoy the city so much that they will do so. So this has been very, very fun. Y'all have been absolutely epic in the chat. I appreciate y'all. I really do love interacting with y'all. So please keep up the comments, keep up all those things. We truly appreciate it. Who is the highest paid Av right now? That is Gabriel Landeskog. That is the captain, the one that deserves to be the highest paid. But that's only going to last until McKinnon gets his deal, and Makar. They'll both make more, but he'll be in that top three even after Makar and McKinnon both get their deals. So double checking real quick before. Looks like I got to all the comments. Look at y'all. And I've been doing good today. Let me check my Twitters. Make sure nothing crazy is going on over there and I'm not missing anything. Give any shout outs real quick. Boom. At Lebrel38, we appreciate the like and the retweet. Appreciate that. Unfortunately, I can't see that stuff in StreamYard. So if you want to be able to get your comments in that on the screen, unfortunately, Twitter does not allow that. For some reason, something goes on between StreamYard and Twitter. I can't see your comments in that on Twitter. I do my best to keep it open and get to y'all like I just did. So I do appreciate it. Make sure you come back. But if you want me to be able to put these up, either Facebook or YouTube, either one of those, they're down in the description. Just click on there, subscribe, hit the bell notification. And anytime you make a comment on either one of those sites, Facebook or YouTube, it does pop up here and I can put you on and we can discuss it live. So I love that. This is why I do lives, guys. So please keep up the comments, keep up all those things. I love them. Even when I'm not live, go to the Twitters, all the other socials, leave comments, tweets, whatever the case may be, wherever you're at. And I'm happy to talk anytime, anywhere about sports. It's why I got into this, guys. So don't ever feel like you're bugging me. Don't ever feel like you're annoying me. This is what I love. This is what I do. And it's what all of us do. So make sure you hit up Callie, Dylan, Santiago, all of us. We are all here to do this. This is our love, our passion, our life. So make sure you're leaving the comments and all that. We will get back to you. We still have 100% reply rate. We just hit, let me double check so I can get a current count. We're going insane on Twitter, people. Absolutely insane on Twitter. We are now at 3,600 followers, 3,634 to be exact. So keep up the love. That is why we keep going live to Twitter, even though we can't see your comments, is because we know we're getting the most love from there. So you are always going to get our lives. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten big enough to where I get to do HD video. So if you do see us on Twitter and it looks a little grainy, I'm sorry. We're not big enough. Give us some more subscribers and they'll allow us to do HD video. But right now you just get standard definition. So I'm sorry you don't get to see this big, beautiful beard in 4K. But if you go over to the other ones, again, YouTube or Facebook, you can see it all in 4K. But as always, for the Sasquatch Says, I'm the host, Dan Wetstein. As always, don't question the blue.